Thought I did.
Corn on this computer. You are off and running.
Okay. All right. Kate. Well, first of all, welcome everybody to our weekly Shredders Unite call. I'm excited to have Kate Rindlisbacher here tonight. I said your name right?
Yeah,
okay.
You did.
Awesome. Yeah, it's so fun. We've gotten to know Kate over the past month or so, and it's just been really awesome to have her presence be here in our ER Shred community. And I'm excited to kind of dive into more of Kate and who she is. And I want you to share a little bit more of your background. I'm not going to do much of the introduction because I want you to tell us all about yourself and things that people might not know about you. We'd love to hear it all. So let's start by you just introducing yourself and telling us a little bit of your background.
Okay, so I live in Salt Lake City. I am a professional hair and makeup artist, so I travel back and forth between Salt Lake and New York. And I own my own salon, so I'm definitely an entrepreneur at heart. I run a nonprofit for human trafficking, domestic violence, and child abuse survivors. And I don't know, I have 3 little crazy monkeys, 10-year-olds, a 7-year-old, and a 3-year-old. Actually, he's 4. I keep saying 3, but he turned 4 and it's really weird. I'm trying to get used to the fact that my baby is no longer a baby, guys.
Yeah.
So I oil paint. I'm an artist. I am a certified personal trainer. So fitness and health is super important to me. I love anything outdoors, hiking, snowboarding, boating. I tried surfing. Both my parents grew up in Huntington Beach, California. So a lot of my family's from California area. And I'm not so great at surfing, but I like it. It's fun.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
so you grew up in California?
No, actually I grew up in Salt Lake, but my parents, both of them are from Huntington Beach. So we went and traveled back and forth like a lot, all the time. So.
Oh, that's awesome. And you come from a family of 9 like me, right?
Oh yeah. 9 kids. I forgot to mention that. And my husband also, there's 9 in his family. So it is like crazy Sue's. Actually, it's more of a circus on my side because I think my mom has now like 24 grandkids and there's only like 10 on my husband's side. So it's not as crazy. But
yeah. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So you're actively a makeup artist right now. That's not something that you did in the past. So that's kind of what you do right now, along with your nonprofit. Is that kind of the main things that you spend your time on? And now ER Shred?
Yeah, I used to do a lot more stuff on personal training and doing meal plans and stuff. But when COVID hit, it kind of went down.
Yeah. So kind of tell me a little bit more about like your background around like money, your belief system around money, what you did, all the different endeavors you may have tried out in the past, as well as some of the things that you might have learned from your parents, like what did they do, that kind of stuff. I'd love to hear that.
Okay, so my mom has her master's degree in music composition. So we have musical background in our family. Like her senior project, she had to compose an entire symphony. And I could never wrap my head around that. Like she can sit down on the piano and just, play whatever. And she's phenomenal at that. But she set the bar of expectations pretty high in our family. I have a brother and a sister who were both valedictorian. So I was a 4.0 student taking AP classes my senior year in high school. And so education and knowledge has always been super important to me. And she worked growing up. And so that was something that just was normal for me. I just knew her as a working mom. And I actually really admired that about her. And so I knew it was something that I wanted to do. When I graduated high school, I went and played soccer for college. And I started my nursing major. And halfway through the major, I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this. I love helping people, but I just don't want to do the nursing part. And I had always played with kids' hair and makeup and just the art side of me, the creative side. And so I just decided to just quit, and everyone thought I was crazy. They were like, why are you quitting nursing school to go to hair school? That doesn't make sense. And it just felt like the right thing for me. It was kind of like a blank canvas, you know, as a creative artist. I feel like, you know, helping be a day maker every day to people. They sit in my chair. I get to make them feel beautiful. I get to like take my professional skills and make somebody's day by utilizing them. And that was huge for me. However, when I started going to school, I thought, I'm going to do, my husband probably will laugh at this, but like, I remember saying to him, I'm going to do hair for Hollywood someday. And yeah, we'll see, you know. And I always was like an overachiever. And maybe that's just because my mom always pushed us to be our best version of ourselves all the time. And so I started pushing my career, and it was kind of hard at the beginning. When you are a hair or makeup artist, you have to build a clientele, you have to build a foundation. You can't just walk into a salon or walk into somewhere and then have this, you know, 300 clients coming in your chair. Like, it doesn't work that way. And so there's this building, this foundation period. And it took me about 2 years to build a full clientele. And then I started my career working at Aveda. And we did a ton of fun things. We traveled with this thing called Congress, and they do like online education and fashion shows. And it was way fun. Loved it. But then I started to think business. I was, I think 40% commission at the time, and 60% was walking out the door to the salon. And they have a lot of overhead and stuff. But I got to the point where I was like, I'm working 50 hours in the salon. I have a full service clientele. I'm really good at my job, but financially, this isn't worth it. Like, I'm away from my kids. I'm missing the little moments that you never get back. And even though I love what I'm doing, I felt like it wasn't a good trade-off. And so I started to think, what is going to be more financially savvy? And so I broke off and decided to open up Kate Bacher Hair. And as a freelance artist, I started traveling, and I started doing more fashion shows. And I've always been a believer in continued education. I don't think that you can ever learn enough. And so I just kept trying to evolve in my career. And I kind of just would go to classes, and I would learn little secrets and trades. And then I would kind of innovate my own little touches on certain things. And my brother, he sang opera since he was 9. So he's a professional opera singer, and he sang all over the world. And he moved to New York City and graduated from the School of Manhattan Music, I believe. I hope he's going to kill me if I'm saying that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's where it was. And so me and him grew up really close. And so I just wanted to see him. So I was 6 months pregnant with my last baby. And he's like, why don't you come out here? I have a lot of friends that have really bad hair. You can fix it. So I was like, okay, I'll go out there and I'll fix it. What am I walking into? And so he would send me pictures, and I brought all this stuff because I didn't know what I was walking into. Anyway, before I left, I just did one person after another, after another, after another. I was kind of like annoyed because I was kind of like, I came here to see you, not to like do hair.
Work the whole time.
I think he had it planned, because he's like, don't worry, you'll be back. And I'm like, I can't financially afford to fly back. I have a family and kids. And so he was like, we'll see about that. And then I had all of these people that he had connected me with out there. They were sending me messages, and they were like, when are you coming back? Nobody does hair like you do hair. I don't know. I can't trust anybody else with my hair. And then I started getting some creative artists that were doing Broadway work asking if I wanted to do their hair and makeup. And so it kind of just became like this thing I didn't expect, but it became this really cool experience for me. I ended up expanding out there, and culturally, I wanted to open myself up to something that was new and different. And so I started working in an all-Black salon. And that was kind of like, I guess you could say like I I understand what they feel when they walk into an all white place.
Mm.
You know, it was a little uncomfortable, if I'm going to be honest, but I really genuinely appreciated their like vibe. It was just easy, down to earth. They were pretty surprised I could corn roll. They were like, oh, this white girl can corn roll. And
Yeah.
so that was kind of fun. And I got to really enjoy the conversations, and we just got to talk a lot about business. And so it just kind of spun from there. And then I got in with film production with another client of mine who wanted me to do her hair and makeup. And that led me down one door and led me down another door. And then eventually other doors opened. And so that's kind of how my career kind of evolved with that.
Mm-hmm.
I
you got to a point where you were thinking like, this is requiring too much of my time. So is that where you kind of decided to so you say you still travel like once a month to go to New York to do that?
So I haven't traveled because of 2020.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We'll just say 2020.
Yeah.
And so it's just a lot of things were open, and it made it really hard. And I think that's when I started to look into other things. Like, we had met with a film production in March, and we were supposed to do this major film production in April. And then that's when everything hit with 2020. And so my business started to tank. Obviously, people weren't coming in as often to the salon. And so I started to think like, I've got to figure out other opportunities to be able to like provide a source of additional income coming in. And my husband was going to school, getting his degree at the time. And so it's kind of rocky. So I kind of needed another opportunity. And I had tried, I don't know, several different direct sales companies, and just, I felt, I don't know, like I didn't really have the greatest experiences with them. So
really, why exactly? Do you want to share?
Yeah. So I feel like knowledge is really important to me. I've come to find that a lot of people don't like to know the whys. A lot of people are like, great, if it works, cool. Will you tell me how to do it? And my brain doesn't work that way. It's like, well, what's in the product? What makes them work, and why do you like them, and where is it founded from? And like all of those things mattered to me. And so I would research products. Like, I would get into something that, like, for instance, I used Monat for a long time. And Monat is a hair care product, and it's all natural, and it's vegan and animal and cruelty free. And I loved that concept because when I worked with Aveda, everything was all natural as well. And so utilizing products on your hair that actually you'll see benefits that are natural is something that I automatically was like, oh, this is cool. However, I was skeptical because when you hear direct sales and you hear about like everybody's in it just to make money, right? And it's just a pyramid scheme, and you hear everything under the sun. And my friend was smart. She sent me products for free to try. And that's the best thing you can do for a hairstylist is get products in your hands. And I tried them and I loved them. I wasn't that thrilled with the compensation plan. I thought it was actually pretty hard. I thought that to be able to maintain the volume that you needed monthly just to qualify to just even get any compensation, it just felt like so daunting is the best way to describe it.
Yeah. And
I've had another experience with a skincare line, and it just seems so complicated. And it was just, I don't know, there was so much you had to do to actually work the business side of it that it was more work than I could give time to. And so I just felt like it was easier to just not do it. So I just didn't. And I utilized both of them for the products and for the discount, but it just, for the business aspect and my time being so limited with where I'm a mom and I have other things going on with my salon and stuff like that, it felt like I couldn't give the time. But then I was looking for something that I could be at home with my kids more and spend less hours at the salon and maybe cut back my hours there, but put in more time into my kids. And then when I opened up my nonprofit and I was trying to help survivors and trying to, go through like the healing and help with stuff like that, it was one of those things where that took a lot of my time. So I was struggling because I was almost dipping into like so many things that I was like, this is too much. I need to simplify. I need to get back to a balance for me, but it has to financially make sense and I have to be able to love it. And it has to be not as time consuming, I guess.
And is that kind of when you discovered ER Shred?
Yeah. And ER Shred is like been the biggest gift in so many ways. Like I can't even, if I like started going like this, I probably would get to like 50. So
yeah,
there's been a lot of things that ER Shred has done for me, but I've always cared about my health. That's the first thing. And I just went through a lot and over the last couple of years, and I got to a point where I needed that stability. I needed that financial security for my kids, for their futures, for even my long-term goal was I want to try ER Shred and, just get to a healthy place overall with my health. I want to see what it does for me. And so I tried the products and obviously I fell in love with everything, all the benefits. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I could do this. Like I already do training with people. I already run marathons. I already go to the gym. I already lift weights. Like, why not like run the business side while I'm already doing this? Like, that's like a no-brainer. But then I was like skeptical and I'm like, I don't know, like I've already tried direct sales. Like, I don't know if I want to do this. And so I will say I was pretty skeptical at the beginning.
Yeah. But, I want you to talk a little bit about what we talked about yesterday, how the ER Shred kind of happened to come into your life at the right timing when you were mentioning something about the emotional fingerprint. And I really thought that was an interesting concept that you were kind of briefly teaching me. So I'd love it if you'd share kind of how ER Shred fits into all of that for you.
Okay. So I randomly last year decided I love learning and I love teaching. And I realized when I was opening up my nonprofit and I was trying to help other people that I needed to have credibility and more knowledge. And so I decided to go and get my major and my degree in psychology for trauma healing. And so one of the classes that I have now in depth been looking at, which is interesting because I went to this event last spring, summer, I think it was in the summer. And this family came and they talked about the emotional fingerprint. And we went like in like great detail about it. But basically, when I started to study, I came across this in one of my mental health classes. And I started looking over like the curriculum. And then with everything that happened and everything that was going on in my nonprofit, I didn't get to like take the course that I wanted to take, but I was looking at the emotional fingerprint in more depth because I had touched the surface when I went to the event with that lady that did the talk on it. And I just thought it was ironic because basically what it is there's 7 different groups, and so like I could ask you, I have it pulled up. So the first group, like let's like role play with me for a minute. I'll ask you. So like each group, there is 5 different things. And in each category of the 5 different things, you have to pick of the 5, what is the most important. And there's 7 different categories. So the whole concept is 7 values make up who you are as a person. And nobody has the same emotional fingerprint. We all have something different. And even though my husband might have 2 of the same categories, there's still 5 other categories, right, that are different. And when your core values are being affected, your whole life kind of starts crumbling down. And so, like, for instance, like group 1 is, do you want to be in control of your life, your job, the situation, or conversation? Are you confident with your appearance? Does that matter to you? Does organization matter to you? Does connecting to God, spirit, and the universe matter to you? Does having trust with living with being worthy of trust, people trusting you, being respected and relied upon? And then of those 5, you have to pick. And so it's hard because you look at those and you're like, well, 2 or 3 of those are important to me. But of those 5, what really matters? And then you go through this series of all of the 7 different categories, and you look at what really matters and what makes you up as a person. And what I found before doing ER Shred was all 7 of my core values were being affected. Oh. And so I thought that was interesting because I felt like I was in like this full-blown crisis. You know, I felt like I was off. I felt like I just felt sluggish. I felt yucky. I felt unmotivated. My mindset was off. I just couldn't get my butt to the gym. I'd hit the snooze button like 5 times. And I went from being like a marathon runner and so dedicated. Like I would get up at 4:00 to be to the gym at 4:30 to work out. And I mean, ask my husband, he was like, what's going on with you? I'm like, I don't know. And I just thought, you know, I didn't really correlate it until after doing the shred, because I was so positive and I was like running around the house, and my son was like, Mom, what's wrong with you? You're like so chipper all the time. And I'm like, I don't know what's gotten into me. I like feel this circulant current of like positivity, and I felt like I could take on the world, and all these things started to change. My relationships were more positive. I was attracting good things into my life, and I just felt connected. And then I looked at my core values and everything that I learned with the emotional fingerprint, and I thought, oh my gosh, like that was my aha moment. Like all 7 of mine before doing ER Shred were being affected in a bad way. And so of course, like what they say in this, and I'll read this to you, it says, if 2 or more of your core values are being met, you will have positive peak in your attitude, more than just a regular day. If more than 2 are being offended, you will have negative drop in attitude, more so than just a normal day. If 3 of them are being affected, you will do anything, or sorry, if they're being affected negatively, you will do anything to defend and support whatever is being affected. If more than 4 are being affected, your life starts to crumble. And so I started to look at like my core values and what mattered to me. And I'm thinking mine were, I wanted to feel connected to God, spirit, the universe. I wanted to be in a loving relationship. I care about knowledge. Healthy was one of mine, life purpose, being a good parent, and serving. And all of those were being affected because I was in a full-blown crisis all around. And I felt like my parenting was lacking. My son's health was tanking. I felt less energy. I was sad and down, and that affected me not being able to serve others. I felt like I was trying so hard to focus on helping within my nonprofit, but then I was struggling myself. So I found myself not being able to do that. And that's been my life purpose, is helping others. And my health tanked all the way around. Like I felt like physically I was in the worst shape of my life. I felt unmotivated to get myself there. I had the worst brain fog. I felt, like I said, just sad and down and unmotivated, and my mindset was off. And I felt just like I didn't care to, I don't know, like learn. And I'm like reading books, and that's important to me. And then all of a sudden I just stopped caring, you know, and I felt like my relationship with my husband was off, because we were both just like both off with our health, you know, and then our connection to religion, and we were in a faith crisis. And so it was all just being affected, every single core value for me. And then after doing the shred, it was like this ripple effect. And like one by one, all of these different values that made me, all of a sudden were like changing for the better. And so I felt just like this aha moment the other day when I was reading through my book in the course again. And I just thought that's it. that's what this program is doing for people. I bet people don't even know this is like a breakthrough. Like,
Oh, I love
if
that.
everybody knew what their core values were for them, because we don't, no one has the same 7 core values. And so the thing is of those 7, you have one value, which is your trump, right? And my trump is like my life purpose. So if everything's being blown up, what would I do? I would put everything into my life purpose, which was my nonprofit. But then I was like off balance because I was like so focused on that one thing instead of having like that balance. And then the ER shred just changed it all. It was really cool.
That's so cool. Is there like a quiz or something people could find online where they could kind of figure out what their emotional fingerprint is? Because I think that's so fascinating.
Yeah, let me see. So it's called Coach Sean Smith. So you can look it up and you can just Google like emotional fingerprint, but the book that I have for the course is through Coach Sean Smith, and he just goes through all of it, and it'll give you like the 7 different categories. You can like, you just check whatever category means the most, and then your trump card. So like, this is the best thing ever. I did it with my kids, and I found out that my son, who's 7, his trump card is service. And my son, who's 10, his trump card is family. So if ever they're like off balance, I know that as long as we're together as a family and we're serving, whether we're putting it into a charity or we're, for Christmas this year, we made this basket for this family who was in need, and we dropped it off to their house. And that was just so exciting for them. Right. And so all of a sudden it went from their day being like kind of subpar, all of a sudden 100%, like they were just so happy. And I realized this could be so helpful for our relationships and to learn ourselves, because I think a lot of times, like what I've found, like sharing the shred, and like talking with people about it, is that I don't think that a lot of people really truly understand what makes them feel off, or what kind of makes them tick, or you know what I mean?
And yeah, so you're right. Because people just start to get really discouraged and think, I just have no willpower, and I can't like stop eating all the crap. But they don't realize there's so much more that goes into like the bad habits that you've created, and so that's why I really like when we can kind of touch on all aspects of this, not just like it's such a great, powerful like diet or protocol, but it really kind of touches on whole mind, body, and soul. And I really, really like that aspect. And I love how you've been able to find passion around the whole thing, which, Sean and I are always trying to talk about, like, this is more than just a diet, like it's so much more. There's so much depth there. And so we've just been really amazed with all the things that you've brought to the table, and your vision, and your energy. And it right now you already have like 26 people under you, and we noticed that recently you cycled 3 times in 1 week, and we're just like, wow, way to go, Kate. And then if you do the math, if you cycled regularly 3 times a week consistently, that would be $700 a month. And that's pretty exciting if you think about, that's just extra money, Yeah.
Huge. Like, especially for like me, like being a mom and having like busyness and just feeling like I can work on this. Like, I think that the thing is I was like, I cycled 3 times. Oh my gosh. I was so excited. Like, I didn't realize how easy it actually was just to share something I'm passionate about. Like, I get to help make other people feel good about themselves. And it's like you said, it's so much more than just a nutritional program and a reset and learning your body. It's like this whole overall balance that you find. And that's why I liked that emotional fingerprint, because it was my aha moment. Because when I was helping my mother-in-law, when she was going through this process, and I was helping my mom and she was going through this process doing the 11-day ER shred, I recognized that because some of their core values were being affected, they struggled more. And I think if you know that about yourself, you can understand where you're struggling and why. And so I think that's kind of like me just going deep, because that's where I go. But anyway. Sorry to go off on a
Yeah.
tangent.
No, I just love that. And, like I said, if you can imagine, making an extra $700 a month, just by sharing what you are so deeply passionate about, not just like, oh yeah, like this is a great diet, you guys should try it. It's just so easy to share something that has that much depth to it, not just, yeah, you might lose some weight or, so
And
I really like
said,
that.
I said to my mother-in-law, because she was like, my husband, he just had amazing results, right? He lost 13 pounds in 11 days. And guys, they lose it faster. And I just want to sock them because it's not fair. But I told her when I was trying to help her through this process, because it took me a while. It was kind of a roller coaster for me the first 11 days. And I think it was day 5. And she just called me and was just like so emotional. And she's like, I didn't know I could feel like this. And I was crying because she was crying, because I just have empathy for like really helping other people feel good, and it's not just your physical, even though that's an added bonus, but it's overall everything starts to just change and get better. And so it really isn't that hard to share and to do this. And even thinking about the business side of it, it's like, what if I can help empower other people who are struggling financially, and not only are they going to feel good overall, but then they can have that financial assistance that might be the difference between paying one of their bills and they don't lose their house or whatever it could be,
Yeah. The average bankruptcy could be prevented with just an additional $400 to $500. And so it's just crazy to think, how you can be passionate, take that passion that we're all, creating with this and be able to just naturally share it. I want you to share a little bit more about how the process of how you shared with people and how did you get those 3 cycles?
So I have to be the first to admit I'm terrified of doing lives. Live video. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I just have to say that because people are like, you just seem like you're so comfortable. And I'm like, no, actually, you don't see my leg shaking as I'm doing live. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was hard. It's also hard because I do like emotionally connect to the program, that just condensing what I loved about it was so hard. Like I said, like there were so many things that came from the program that I was like, how in the world do I narrow it down to like 2 or 3? Like, I don't even know if I can do that, but I had to really sit there and I had to really think about what it was specifically that I got the biggest benefit overall. And that helped me to make it an easier share where I wasn't so wordy, because I do that a lot. And so sharing became more simple as I didn't overthink it, and I just really overthought it. And it's easy and natural. Like if I have, family or friends or clients around and they're talking about something, like if someone mentions like, yeah, like I just feel so exhausted all the time. I'm like, oh my gosh, me too. And you know what changed my energy? ER Shred, you need to do this. And it naturally just comes. But like to actually do like a real in-depth share and condense was a little challenging for me. But when you really think about it and you really think about, if I don't share this, it's almost kind of, in my opinion, selfish, because I feel so good and I just literally changed so many of my core values, right? They're all now slowly, not overnight, but slowly getting to more of a balanced state. And I'm like, it just became kind of second nature to just want to share it, because the results were that amazing. And I guess the more and more I'm sharing, the more and more people are reaching out like, oh my gosh, I'm really interested. And I'm like, you are? Like, I was scared.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was the direct sales part that like was in the back of my mind scaring me. But then when I took that out and I just took out like, like I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. Like when people just have a bad taste in their mouth because of past experience, or in my case, I had some bad past experiences. And when I just took it out and I just thought, how did this make me feel? You know, overall, how did I feel? And it was so good that it became easier and easier and easier to share with people. And I think the most rewarding part for me was watching people like, you know, my mom and my mother-in-law and my son. Like, that was the biggest thing through everything, was I got to watch his health just tank. And I was in this crisis, full blown everywhere. And I'm just trying to survive through my own crisis. And I'm watching my son's health tank, and I know better. And I have the knowledge, and I'm like, crap. And every night I would go to bed and I'd be like, oh, I'm going to be better. I'm going to get myself to the gym. I'm going to help go running with him, and I'm going to teach him how to eat healthy. And I just didn't. And then I just saw his health decline. And so when I was able to help empower him and to actually have him personally gain control of his bad habits, that was where the biggest reward came, because all of this sudden I got to see him go to my mom's house, and all of his cousins are there, and they're eating all this candy, and grandma gets out the candy and asks him if he wants the candy. And he says, no, grandma, I'm good. And my mom's like, dude, your son is so dedicated.
Yeah.
And I was like, that just made me so happy, because for the first time, I wasn't just trying a meal plan. I wasn't just trying like a temporary fix. This has become a lifestyle for him, where he now is learning, what is my body like? What does my body say? I don't need that. I don't want that. And that empowerment, giving that to him, was well worth anything that I've gotten out of this program. And watching people I love and care about go through that same experience, where they start to like have that own empowerment, and they can control their bad food habits, or, you know, their energy levels increase, or whatever it is that they might be struggling with. That is why sharing became so natural for me, because I got to be a part of that uplifting process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I loved how yesterday you were telling me kind of what your vision is for what is ER Shred going to create for you, and what do you want to, how do you see yourself utilizing ER Shred in your life and your business, and in a way to help others?
Yeah. So my ultimate goal, my heart lies with children. It always will. I had a hysterectomy at age 30 that was unplanned, and I wasn't ready to be done having kids. And that was really hard for me. And I went through my own abuse trauma as a child, and I had to go through a lot of healing, which eventually led me full circle to opening my nonprofit. And when you run a nonprofit, it costs a lot to help people. Like, let me give you like an example. Like, if I were to help someone who had been through child abuse and they wanted trauma therapy, most people who go through trauma and they need trauma therapy, they need at least 2 to 3 times a week therapy, right? And then you figure even at the least maybe $75 an hour, and then you factor that's what, almost over 200. I can't do the math in my head right now, but it's a lot. And then you
don't rely on me to do it.
Yeah. Then you think of all of the other survivors that you're trying to help do some healing work, right? And help so that the cycles can break. And you think of the cost, and you think of how much it actually takes to run it. It's expensive. And so I needed a thing that would give me the opportunity where I could make money and put it back into my nonprofit. Yeah. And so I feel like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard, I can't remember what the name of the book is. I'm going to find it. It's in my book collection, and I'll send you a picture, but it's all about influencing the influencers. And it's basically like a concept of like, we're parents and we're influencing our children, right? And what are we teaching in our children in our homes? And what kinds of things are being swept under the rug, and what kinds of things aren't being brought out to light? And if we don't heal our inner child, if we don't heal our inner traumas or whatever we're going through, we're going to repeat all of those cycles and those patterns. And so I would love to just take all of the money that I earn from helping not only empower women and bring them into balance with their emotional core values, but then to take that into helping children and women who need it, and be able to say, I can offer you this. I can sit down and I can say, I can give you an inside makeover as well as an outside makeover. I can get all of my hair and makeup artists and revamp their outside and revamp their inner work and give them all of the tools, the basic tools that they don't have, so that when they leave, they're like, I can thrive. I can rise above this, and I can be resilient, and I can overcome this. And this isn't going to define me. But you can't do that unless you have the means to help. And so that's what ER Shred is. My vision. My vision is to not only empower other people as I'm building the business of the ER Shred, but to take the money that I make with the business and put it back into helping heal other survivors.
I love that. I think that's the most motivating and way to stay just inspired, is to have that kind of vision. You know, think long term. What is it ultimately that you want to create? So I love that you've already got that all figured out, and it's such a beautiful thing. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And is there anything else that you'd like to add before we end this little interview?
So just one more thought I had.
Okay.
So this is another thing that I've learned through my experiences, is about building foundations, you know, being an entrepreneur and stuff. And I want people to recognize, and this is something you probably know too, is this isn't like an overnight thing. If people are interested in the business, it's kind of like building your foundation. If you look around and you have bricks that make up a foundation, right? And you can't build this like amazing, beautiful, I don't know, in my case, healing home, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't build that unless I have a good foundation. And it's the same thing with building with ER Shred and building and even going through the 11-day process. Some people, it might take them 2 or 3 or 4 11-day programs to go through the cleansing and the detoxing and build that foundation for them and get to that baseline and have that aha moment. Or if you come into the business, like, you might have to set that groundwork and you might have to put a lot more into it at the beginning. But if you have that long-term goal, like I do, you can say, why am I here? Why does this matter to me? And I think it's the mindset over anything that makes success come.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. So much helpful information as well. Not only did we get to learn more about you, but you left us with some really great information and about for all of us who are also trying to build our business around ER Shred. So thank you so much, Kate, for being on. Before we go, I wanted to just remind everybody of our call tomorrow night. It's Jesse's call, Shred Your Body call. And then Wednesday night, of course, is our Come Alive call. And all of them are at the same time every night, 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. And then next Monday, we're really excited to have my in-laws, Tony and Randy Escobar, and Bob Sivright is going to be the one interviewing them. So this will be really fun to hear from, you know, I believe, you know, one of our like founders of Isagenix. I mean, I like to call them that because they've been there since the beginning, and we've learned, Sean and I have learned so much from them. So this will be fun to hear more of their story. And also I want to, so this is the first day also, everybody started their ER Shred, their Shred together today. So right? Or no, is this today? Yeah, first day, right? Yeah. Okay. Day 1. So I want to encourage everybody to spend a lot of time in the ER Shred, the Shredders Facebook group, the community. And Sean and I are also saying, you know, this year we just want to make it fun. So go and bring your energy in there, bring your support, make it fun. And oh yeah, I don't want to forget to mention that next week when Bob Sivright is going to be interviewing my in-laws, they're going to be sharing some really exciting announcements. So make sure you guys all join on Monday next week. And thanks again, Kate. This has been so much fun. I really appreciate all that you shared tonight. And I hope you guys all have a great night. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Kate and Crystal.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.